Namaste, angels. This is going to be our full moon in Scorpio reading. The Scorpio full moon occurs tonight, Sunday the 29th at 8:58 p.m., at least here on my side, Eastern Standard Time. But I think it's Universal Time. So wherever you are, 8:58, your time will be the time of the full moon. And I always consider the energy around until at least the next major moon phase, which in this case will be May 15th with the new moon in Taurus. So until then, from today, April 29th, will be in this energy of the Scorpio full moon. Now, in looking for the link to the full moon for April 29th on the Farmer's Almanac, I think I typed in that, April 29th full moon almanac, but Allure, like Allure magazine, that came up as one of the choices. And I saw, get ready for this full moon with Jupiter retrograde. It's going to occur simultaneously. And I went, huh? Jupiter retrograde started, a while back. So I decided to click on it. And it's a cute little summary. So I think I'll use this one because I already explained from my perspective during the general reading what the full moon was going to be about. So let's see what these women at Allure, particularly Sophie St. Thomas, thinks about it. She wrote this on April 27th. On Sunday, April 29th, 2018, a dramatic full moon in Scorpio arrives while Jupiter is in retrograde. So what does that mean? While each sign is affected differently, there are things we should know about both occurrences, which was first noticed and reported by Bustle, so another magazine. Let's start with the Scorpio full moon. Scorpio, an intense investigative water sign, is all about rebirth. Scorpios are wonderful at makeovers and recreating themselves. While they may act emotionally when life knocks them down, a Scorpio always gets back up, rising from the flames. The tarot card that corresponds to Scorpio is the Death card, which, while frightening to some, can welcome the omen of change and rebirth. I thought it was interesting that this was in Allure magazine. I don't know about the tarot and all of this stuff. Scorpios make fabulous detectives and journalists because they are incredible about sniffing out lies. You can't bullshit a Scorpio. Full moons in general are powerful times of release. On Sunday, expect the full moon in Scorpio to expose some truths. Change is scary. It's normal to hear about secrets getting exposed and assume you're going to learn your partner is cheating on you. But don't give in to that fear. Rather, use this full moon energy to celebrate a new cycle emerging. Let go of old habits that a bad relationship or fear you're holding on to within a healthy relationship, preventing you from fully enjoying it. So if you're in a good relationship, but you're stuck in the energy of your old crappy ones, then it's ruining the one that's the good that you're in. The universe wants you to be happy, so let go of any negative emotions that are holding you back. Scorpio is all about sex and death. So spend Sunday night having some really hot sex, as you're likely to feel empowered to let go of inhibitions. Or use this full moon energy to reunite with your friends. Grab some red wine, cheese, and chocolate, and enjoy a picnic in a cemetery. If graveyards aren't your thing, a park will do, but wear all black and enjoy some of this spooky energy. The worst thing that you can do during a full moon in Scorpio is to cling to thoughts, people, or habits that are no longer serving you. So get ready to surrender. You may have read that this is a pink moon, which doesn't hold astrological significance, but refers to the name given to the April full moon by Native American tribes. So what about this Jupiter retrograde? Well, when any planet is in retrograde, it doesn't literally change directions, but appears to based on the position of relative planets. Retrogrades cause the areas ruled by the planet in question to flip upside down and to go all wonky, which is why Mercury retrograde causes delays in communication, as Mercury rules communication. Jupiter began its 4-month retrograde on March 8th, where it will stay until July 10th, 2018. By this point, it's not much to stress over, as we've already been feeling its effects. Jupiter rules laws, philosophy, progress, and wisdom. It is also a planet of good fortune, if your fortune is good, because it's a planet of karma, not really good fortune. It's kind of a daddy planet. It absolutely is. And it's not a retrograde to freak out over, but let's talk about how to use its energy, shall we? It's a philosophizing planet. Ah. So Jupiter retrograde coupled with the full moon in Scorpio will have you feeling more introspective than usual. As Jupiter rules fortune, karma. She says fortune, I say karma. You might have been feeling like the fame and attention you deserve is delayed. Remember that good things take time and that Jupiter retrogrades allow us to be a little messy and that the universe has your best interest at heart. It's just doing its thing, moving planets and aligning as it's meant to. Work with the energy, not against it. So use the reflective depth of Jupiter retrograde and the Scorpio full moon to allow psychic visions and realizations to come to you. Expect breakthrough. Be ready to shed your skin. Let go of old habits and patiently trust that in time you'll get what you've been working your ass off for. So that is, again, from Allure magazine. And then I probably don't need the Farmer's Almanac now because they already explained that it's going to be the pink moon. But from almanac.com, here's that. What is the pink moon? April's full moon, the pink moon, heralds the appearance of moss, pink, or wild-grown phlox, PHLOX, one of the first spring flowers. It is also known as the sprouting grass moon, the egg moon, and the fish moon. These names were not invented by the old Farmer's Almanac. They were used by early colonial Americans who learned the name from the local Native Americans. The time was not recorded by using the months of the Julian or Gregorian calendar. Many tribes kept track of time by observing the seasons and lunar months, although there was much variability. The name itself usually describes some activity that occurred during that time in their location. And you can see other details about the moon and even a video if you log on to www.almanac.com. Some April moon facts and folklore. On April 20th, 1972, the lunar module of Apollo the 16th landed on the moon with astronauts John Young and Charles Duke aboard. Thomas Mattingly remained in orbit around the moon aboard the command module. One day later, on April 21st, 1972, Apollo 16 astronauts John Young and Charles Duke drove an electric car on the surface of the moon. It's still up there, along with some expensive tools and some film that they forgot. According to folklore, the period from the full moon through the first quarter of the moon is the best time for killing weeds, thinning, pruning, mowing, cutting timber, and planting below ground crops. And that's it about the moon. All right, so this is where it gets more interesting, at least for me. Isis told me to use the Rider-Waite Tarot today. I haven't used the Rider-Waite Tarot, at least that I can recall, probably since April 2016, at least not publicly. The reason for that was I began on March 10th, 2016. That was my first video, the day of my first video. I was using the Rider-Waite Tarot. April was quote unquote angel month. And the angels told me I should be using the Angel Tarot. And I have been primarily ever since. But today, Isis said, and she drew my attention to the High Priestess card on which she is depicted. Okay, that's Isis sitting there in between the two pillars. Those are the two pillars of King Solomon's temple. She told me to talk about those. I'm not sure exactly where this is going, but I am doing it. I didn't spend any time like meditating on it. I continued getting ready for the reading as I felt I was directed to do. So I didn't try to connect all the dots, but I'm going with it, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about those two pillars, Boaz and Yakin. Now, what is interesting, at least to me, is that Isis is already, herself a higher vibration of Mary. Mary's father's name is Joaquin. It's spelled differently. Here they spell it Jachin with regard to the pillar. And Mary's father's name was spelled more traditionally like Joaquin, Jaoquin. But in the Hebrew, it's Yakin, and I'm pretty sure it's all the same name, Joaquin, period. So I found that interesting. Other things, I'm not even sure like what all specifically I'm supposed to mention, but I thought it might have something to do with the divine masculine and the whole theme of death and rebirth and arise. For one thing, well, the two pillars, let me just go over a little bit about the pillars. They were made of, or believed to have been made of copper, brass, and or bronze. And each stood on one side of the porch of King Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. Boaz was on the left and Joaquin was on the right. This is spoken of in the book of Chronicles 3:17, which equals 11. The pillars look like an 11 too. Then I started wondering if this had something to do with the North Node. The North Node is going to be very active this week too, or other bodies that are passing through it. North Node right now, which is in Leo. I've spoken about this before because my personal North Node from my natal chart is in Leo. And I say that because the pillars are also said to be like one to the north and one to the south. And the one to the south he named Joaquin is what's written, and the one to the north he named Boaz. In the book of Revelations 3:12 or 3:3 maybe talking about ascended masters or love. 3 + 3 = 6 = love. I don't know. Again, I haven't put too much into it yet. But it talks about the pillars again there. Him who overcomes, I will make a pillar in the temple of my God. Never again will he leave it. I will write on him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, the new Jerusalem, which is coming down out of heaven from my God. And I will also write on him my new name. And I thought, the new Jerusalem, I mean, that's part of the journey. That's where we're trying to get. That is what is described in the scriptures as when, it's said that God said, I will merge heaven and earth and create a new Jerusalem. So I'm saying, is that why I'm supposed to talk about this? Is that, all of these, I don't know, maybe I'll stop there. Maybe that was it. Let's see. I'm going to, this was also interesting. After she told me to do that, I also felt guided, not necessarily by her, just in general, for the masculine, get their advice from my Gods and Titans deck. I take the deck out. It's on Osiris already. I start shuffling. It stayed on Osiris. I said, okay, if I'm going to use that for the masculine, then let me use my goddess oracle for the feminine. Same thing. Took them out of the box. They're on Isis and mothering already. And then she stayed there. So I said, okay, that's that. And from the hashtag creepy deck, I'm going to begin with Destiny. But with the traditional Rider-Waite Tarot, I had been in the mood to read reversals this week, so I guess this fits. I'm beginning with the Four of Swords upright. Now, some people say the Four of Swords, the soldier is in like a coffin, or is in, like he's in a prayer pose to me, and he's not necessarily laid out dead. He's resting as far as I'm concerned, but it is said that, he's in like a coffin, And this could be describing the death and rebirth too. The Four of Swords does mean, like, you know, it's a period of recovery. We're getting an opportunity to take rest or a respite and to recover. This soldier is returned from battle. You know, he's spent all of his energy. So now he needs to chill. Opening to the Queen of Swords in reverse. This could be here representing Venus herself, currently in Gemini. Or this could be a person impactful upon your life during this period of the next like 2 weeks or so, up until May 15th. That is an air sign, a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, or somebody likened to those traits or attributes, or with a lot of Venus or maybe Mercury even in their chart. Some traditional meanings of the Queen of Swords in reverse are things like deceit, you know, because the swords are all about communication and truth, and oh, because they want us to see the Fool too. I didn't mean to do that. Fool upright. So stepping out on faith, about to walk a brand new path we've never walked before. It may take some risk. Maybe that's why they're showing us the two of these together. May take some risk. Some of the information that we may have received in regard to this new path may be false, and we might have to take our chances, but we're still guided to go ahead. When the Queen of Swords is upright, it can be a sign of like a widow or separation. And so I also thought, like, maybe, again, connecting to this death and rebirth thing, and specifically the masculine, if there's some kind of rise right now and or major return and restoral of their energy, that can be, it can be the end of that feeling of like being like a widow, or the end of that separation period too. Can be what this the Queen of Swords in reverse is representing, especially opposite the Four of Swords upright. Four of Swords upright. And the Five of Swords upright. There could be conflict. Again, the Five of Swords upright for me is not only about conflict, but it's conflict in which we may have had a hand. And that hand, and we might not have been malicious. We may not have tried to bring anything upon ourselves or others around us, but some sort of thought or action or something that we did, we caused the wheels to be set in motion of something else. Like things begin to unravel from there. And then we, sometimes realize, oh, if I had never said this, I wish I hadn't have done that, because that caused that and it was unnecessary. So that's the kind of thing. And when the Five of Swords comes up, you also got to look around. There's these other people there, and like, what did they have to do with it, and why? Maybe, are they on the right side of the truth of these two swords that are standing up? Or maybe you need to make a choice or decision about with whom you continue to surround yourself with, because the Two of Swords tends to be about a decision. There's two swords standing upright in his hand, and there's two on the ground. And he's got one here. That's like the sword of truth. Opposite the Four of Swords, this is like another Four of Swords, right? It's like two here and two here again. And this one's been like sort of removed. Four of Swords. Whoa! There's three of them. I'll tell you what they are. I'm going to put them back in, four of them, arbitrarily. The Two of Cups in reverse. Sticking that back in. The Emperor upright. So obviously the Two of Cups in reverse is about two people that are not on the same page. So it could be having to do with an untruth, a deception or something. The Emperor upright, some authority may be stepping in. Or maybe you're going to take authority over your own life and you're not allowing other people to butt in, like those people that had their back turned to the guy with the two swords in his hand. The Devil in reverse. So breaking free of these chains here. Again, taking authority over our own life, so no longer at liberty of this devil, which may or may not be a Capricorn or other earth sign in your life. Or it could be connected to Scorpio, in that Pluto, one of Scorpio's rulers, is retrograde currently, like Jupiter. It's retrograde in Capricorn, which the devil represents. The last one is the Three of Pentacles. And I don't know if you noticed, there's a pentacle. I put the card away already, but there's a pentacle on the devil card. There's one. And so that would leave two, which could mean something about juggling. Also, there's two people here together, and there's one on his own over here. So this could have something to do with some sort of authority too, and matters of trying to get to the root and the truth of the situation. She's got some sort of official documents in her hand here, it looks like. And also this is reminding me of the scripture I just spoke. I will put my name on it. This guy's like carving something into the wall here. But otherwise, it revealed the Ace of Wands upright. So a bland new divine blessing from the heavens, a new opportunity, a new start to something wonderful, maybe a sexual relationship, as the allure passage spoke of, because the wands in the tarot are considered phallic. The wands otherwise represent fire signs: Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, and maybe even Scorpio. Four of Swords. I'm going to cut. And it's the Seven of Wands. Speaking of wands, this is about like not losing your warrior spirit, and you remaining that authority in your life. You deciding what battles you're going to confront and from which ones you're going to walk away. This guy's at the ready to continue fighting if he needs to. That doesn't mean he necessarily wants to. He's not going to let anybody like change his mind, you know, for no good reason. Like perhaps the two people were trying to do, they whisper in your ear with bullshit, and then you change your mind and you go against your own interests and your own heart and stuff like that. He's not allowing that to happen anymore. Overall energy is the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. This can be about a loss or a delay in some sort of financial or material matter. But it can also, more to the more positive, be about like a gift, an inheritance or something, even in reverse. First, I'm going to do the dice though. Let me get them out of my way. Beginning with spin money, dirty movie, and it's 50-50. Spirit says, yes, party, and weekend away. The divine couple. Recent past, near future, masculine's higher self. This is two cards. Blocks to the union. What the feminine can do, what the masculine can do, further advice from the universe, and the outcome. Divine couple. Five of Cups, very pessimistic. And this kind of came out in one of the readings I did. Was it the love reading? I think it was the love reading. It was like all about obstacles and things, or us feeling like that, like we were still surrounded by obstacles. So this is an energy of pessimism. Oh, woe is me. Like my stuff fell, and now what? And it's kind of selfish because it's not realizing that you have these two back here. It's like a energy of inappreciation and, you know, lack of gratitude. So we're missing the blessing, basically. We're not counting our blessings. The recent past. King of Cups in reverse. So there may have been a Scorpio, Pisces or Cancer in your life that was not at his most stable. In fact, the King of Cups in reverse can be known to be like a liar. This card is like about injustice and dishonesty and scandal in the traditional tarot. The near future, the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, which is interesting, particularly when coupled with our overall energy of the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. So the energy of work came up a lot this week. And this week, in fact, is on the May 1st is the feast day of St. Joseph, the worker. And it's a celebration of labor and people putting effort into what they do and, you know, reaping what they sow in that sense. Eight of Pentacles in reverse, unfortunately, is about like a lack of ambition. And that's not going to be very helpful to us if we need to put in work over the next, well, at least for this week. That was for this week's general reading. The theme was definitely work. The masculine's higher self. The Hermit in reverse. Okay, well, the Hermit, for one thing, represents the sign of Virgo, or perhaps another earth sign. And when he is in reverse, the most simplest explanation can be that he's already become like enlightened. And so he can come out of his cave now in his shell. When he's upright, he is somebody who is seeking enlightenment. However, there's like negative to it too. The tarot also says that when he's in reverse, it's a sign of fear. It's a sign of fear and like disguise, like a false self-mask, basically. So not being very enlightened at all, like to the contrary. And that, I guess, unfortunately, would go better with the King of Cups in reverse. Blocks to the union. We've got two here. The World in reverse and Judgment upright. Well, Judgment does represent for me the sign of Scorpio and the planet Pluto, which rules it. It is all about death and rebirth. And if we look at the card, we'll see that it's, let me put this down for a second. To me, these people here are souls in purgatory. And this is Gabriel, the Archangel Gabriel, sounding off the horns, just as is described in what is that, Revelation 7, I believe. They sound off the horns. So they're waiting for their judgment. How are they going to, what's in their future, basically? What's to come for their soul? And so that is the death and rebirth. I think we like die over and over. So that's how it came to me, for me, that I associate this card with Pluto and Scorpio. In the tarot upright, you know, it's happy. It's about renewal. Like it's called renewal in the Angel Tarot. It's about renewal and like a new start. Reconciliation and things like that often too. The World in reverse, however, is about stagnation and like being stuck. So it's kind of saying like, and these cards come one after the other. This is Major Arcana card number 20 and this is number 21. It's kind of like, you know what? It's Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. That's what it is. It's the death and rebirth. I'm trying to get up. I'm trying to rise and start again. And this energy of Saturn and Capricorn has me stuck and stagnant and stifled. And that's the block. That makes sense as a block. It's like push and pull. Start and stop. Stop and go. However they say it. What can the feminine do here? Wow. I said I was in the mood to read reversals. I guess they want to give me my, my just due here. This is the Six of Wands in reverse. I can't say the cards don't all go together, because the Six of Wands in reverse traditionally is about this soldier not being so strong and gallant and returning from war. Instead, he's afraid. The enemy is at the gates. Can I let them in? And with it crossing this King of Cups in reverse, it's a concern here for me. It's more like this disloyalty. Now, this is the recent past. In all fairness, this isn't necessarily now. And that would explain why, we have all this doubt. It's like we've been beaten down. Even when we've tried to take action, we've been stopped, by an energy higher than our own, a very karmic energy. So then what do you do? And then that instilled fear again. So what the feminine can do, I guess, knowing this, is try to gather herself and her strength back up. And one of the pillars is named strength, right? And I said Joaquin is strength, and the other is he will, it's something like he will build. Why am I forgetting this now? But the names, Boaz and Joaquin, one is strength. I'm pretty sure that's Joaquin. And the other is, he will establish. He will establish, like he will build, or maybe he will return from separation. He will establish, or he will get himself together. He will release this energy that's negative, and that's causing fear and ego on the part of, not only on himself, it would seem, but on the part of the feminine as well. And she is guided to like gather herself, despite whatever else is going on. And work on releasing any fear that she may be holding on to. What can the masculine do here? Spend time being more, maybe making a return to the social scene, coming back to life, and enjoying it. Happy to see a positive card upright. On the other hand, this is, of course, the Three of Cups and can have to do with a party of three. So some sort of third energy, maybe an actual person, and perhaps a love triangle. Further advice from the universe. Ouch. Three of Swords, which also came up in the general. There will be pain and loss at the hands of somebody disloyal, a liar, during this period. And the outcome. The Six of Swords now also in reverse. Well, Six of Swords is about moving on in a positive direction. And even in reverse, it still is. But one meaning of the Six of Swords that ties into this even better. Six of Swords can be about a confession too. And that may be what causes hurt and from what we're trying to move on. But it's difficult. It's stop and go. And why the couple is like this. But again, the outcome is we do move on. And actually, to the most positive, what the Six of Swords can be is a declaration of love. So at the end of the day, after all of this that seemed like a lot of struggle and strife and negativity and bullshit, declaration of love, confession, the truth finally prevails. And that's why I guess we had this overall energy of the Ten of Pentacles. Like we're getting a gift, we're receiving abundance, but, you know, there's some shit tied to it. From the perspective of the masculine, beginning with destiny and opening to twin flame, the honor reversals in this deck. So maybe I could stop here, right? This is the destiny, the divine couple coming together. Harmoniously and happy. Twin flame and past life. Past life. Courting man. Past life. And mature man, which can represent Scorpio for me because it tends to represent Mars and like somewhat like the Emperor. There's a more Emperor-like card in here for me though, but like Scorpio is also a mature sign. So even if it's a young one, they tend to act, oh, we tease my daughter sometimes, like we don't know what, sometimes it's hard to tell if she's the baby sister. She acts like more like the big sister or even the mom, to be honest. She's a Scorpio, you know, they're very mature. Mature man and mature woman. So there's a couple in question. Oh, goodness. And I've come to Beauty Queen, which is a representation for me of Venus. Venus, the goddess and planet of love, beauty, popularity. So esteem, confidence, abundance. This is what Beauty Queen is all about. Us feeling good about ourselves, looking good to ourselves, looking good to other people, being very, you know, attractive in that sense. Overall energy is courting man. The feminine about herself, the masculine as it relates to the feminine about himself, the union as a whole. Overall, what the masculine would have the feminine do toward the union, what he himself is willing to, what the universe would have the two do, and the outcome. Very nice. Young female. We ended on young female in one of the readings last week. This card for me represents Jupiter and Sagittarius primarily. And again, Jupiter retrograde currently in Scorpio. And the feminine feeling this very youthful and vibrant and fiery energy of Jupiter and Sagittarius. I love it. The masculine about the feminine. Oh, I see. Here's that party of three thing and the lies and the disloyalty and all of that we saw on the other spread. Here is where he's deciding who to pick, which way to go. About himself, because he's fine as wine. Right? He can have either one or both. He can continue to have both, maybe some others. But does he want that? Union as a whole. Ice King. This can mean several things. This is the other card I was talking about that I said the guy is more Martian-like. So it does tend to represent, for me, for that reason, Aries, as well as fire sign Leo, not ruled by Mars, and Scorpio, which is also ruled by Mars. In addition to that, it is connected to me, for me, to winter or air, swords signs, of course. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Libra being about justice and truth and all of that. And typically sitting very close to Jupiter. That can be coming into play. Also strength just came up in the other spread. It came up, it comes up in Boaz and Yakin, because Yakin means strength. So I think that this can be about all of those things. It can be about the rise, certainly. It can be about Mars, who is not only the planet of action, and this is about taking action, maybe in choosing and something, once and for all, and being, or telling the truth at least once and for all, being honest. But Mars also the masculine planet of love and the strength to get through whatever the situation is. And maybe, Venus and Mercury or Mercury adding their 2 cents in as well. Whereas Venus, feminine planet of love, and Mercury, the planet of communication. So that could be from where the telling of the truth even comes, from Mercury, right? The strength to deal with it, and Mars, the fire to take action and finally put it out there. Overall, past love. It can have to do with your past love together, or a past love. That could be who this third person is, or a quote unquote karmic from a past time, love from a past time, as well as your present. What would the masculine have the feminine do here? Here are the gifts. And it's funny because I referred to the 10 of Pentacles in the other spread. There was our overall energy in reverse. I said it can also be about gifts. There can be offers of love, confessions of love, and that's a gift. It's crossing the triangle here, and this person that's indecisive and trying to pick which one. The gift can be receiving the truth. That's your good fortune. It's based on the karma. What is the masculine himself willing to do? Wow, well, since this card is the representation for me of the divine masculine in the tarot, this will be him stepping up. And again, like the rise. So maybe in the meantime, he is taking that respite like the 4 of Swords, but there will be a rise during this 2-week period. He is willing to do it, willing to finally step up and do the right thing, as they say. Further from the universe, so what would the universe have the 2 to do? Boom! That one I should use a booyah, I think, this time on that note. And additional outcome. Boom again. Communication. Just as I said. On that note, I don't think I'm going to do another spread this time. I think I just want to get to advice for the feminine, advice for the masculine, beginning with Isis and mothering for the feminine. So this is about nurturing yourself and others. You see Osiris there, sort of at respite. If you can see him underneath her wing while she's holding baby Horus and breastfeeding him. Opening to Morgan Le Fay. Isis and Pachamama, healing, holding, and holy. Isis and Maya, illusion. Illusion is what is the moon is called in the Angel Tarot. The moon card is called illusion. Is it the Angel Tarot? It's one of my decks. No, it's the Lover's Path Tarot, I think. Because that's what the moon does. Like where it confuses us. It's there's stuff that's hidden. We don't know what's coming out. We're waiting for truth. So I think that's why this card is here too. I'll go one more. And it's Sophia and wisdom. So we're going to be coming out of this place of illusion and stepping into one of wisdom when we know more, when we receive that gift of information and knowledge that we've been missing. Kotlake and grief. Overall energy is Easter and growth. And here is the feminine's advice from that deck. Masculine. Oh, you know what? Let me do this too. Again, beginning with Osiris and renewal. So the energy of judgment and beginning again. And opening to Thor and action. I love it. Are we on theme or what here? That energy of Mars and taking action. Osiris. Ra, power. That's just the strength. Osiris. And Ra does represent fire sign Leo for me. And Garuda and travel, moving forward. Just like the 6 of Swords we saw, Osiris back. And coming to Typhon, anger, rage. Very nice. The overall energy is Zeus and leadership. So the more positive meaning of, or aspects of like the emperor, as opposed to that overbearing or authority, you know, sort of coming down on you, the leadership role of the divine masculine. And of the feminine. We have our own leadership role too. Okay, so further from the hashtag creepy deck to the masculine dating, the full moon. So the full moon brings about this energy of, I gotta have a sit down with you and get some things off my chest. Feminine, open relationship is to what this can lead, or some sort of in your situation. I want to pick this up without turning it in the wrong direction. It's the 7 of Pentacles in reverse yet again. 7 of Pentacles, it tends to be about more fear and anxiety, particularly about money, but I think it could be about, you know, life in general too, and the relationship here. For us, the 3 of Wands upright. So here we have a man literally waiting for his ships to come in. You see the 2 ships in the distance, waiting for things to get better, expecting that they will. That with the 1 or the Ace of Wands came the new opportunity. With the 2 of Wands came the entering of a partnership and the faith that what we were trying to manifest would come to fruition. And now with the 3 of Wands, we have somebody who he represents strength and fortitude, and you know, somebody who makes good decisions and, you know, may have some patience, or should have some patience, because the first few steps of what he was trying to do, they both worked, right? The 1 and the 2. So now giving it a chance with the 3, the belief, the faith that yes, that I will attain this 4th wand, this 4th stake, and put that in the ground and have a solid foundation set beneath me after that. Masculine, your advice is thought and wisdom. Very interesting, because again, this is wisdom, the knowledge, the truth that is to be shared based on the other spreads. And also thought is Mercury as far as I'm concerned, or Mercury is thought is a higher vibration of the planet Mercury, ruler of communication. And feminine for us, Artemis and selfhood. So sort of like the universe's advice, what could we do for ourselves? And it was for us to get out of that energy of the 6 of Wands in reverse and feeling like a defeated, afraid soldier. Instead, this is the kind of soldier we want to be, you know, goddess of war style. We can handle whatever comes at us. And look behind her here. There's another full moon in this picture. So I'll read these from their respective books for you. From the Gods and Titans by Stacy DeMarco. Trust that you know, Discern and simplify all the opinions and information being directed at you. So this is about cutting to the truth. Let me repeat that. Trust that you know you know. Discern and simplify all the opinions and information directed at you. Equally at home, with their feet in the mud of the river or gracefully gliding among the clouds, ibis are everywhere around the Blue Nile. This stately bird is the symbol of the wisest god in Egypt. The regal ibis-headed god Thoth rules over scribes, learning, wisdom, and in later periods, mathematics. This is why a lot of Geminis are math geeks like myself. As he knows the most powerful words and invocations to use, he became a powerful god of magic. It is he who told Isis what spell to use to resurrect her dead husband, Osiris, and he assisted her again with the words to remove the poison from her son Horus. As the inventor of the alphabet, he is the patron of scribes, writers, and anyone who works with words, like public speakers. Egyptians credited him as the author of many books on magic and invocation. The emerald tablets are said to have, which are an actual archaeological find, not something that somebody made up or pulled out of their ass. I forgot what year, but it was around 1600 by a Hispanic man, a Latin man. They're said to be written and narrated or from the perspective of Thoth himself. The cult of Thoth and his messages of regulation and balance crossed from Egypt and extended into Greece. With knowledge comes wisdom, and Thoth is the god even other gods consult for wise counsel. Fittingly, his wife, Ma'at, so I talked about justice and Libra. There's the Ma'at connection. She is the goddess of justice. They worked together in the justice system in Egypt and with the pharaoh in his court. Everyone has his or her own source of wisdom within. We need to learn to trust that we know we know. Thoth teaches us that while we can seek counseling from others, our best resource is often ourselves. Should you be learning something, seeking knowledge, studying in school, or undertaking exams, Thoth will be watching over you. His energy not only inspires you, but also gives you practical guidance on how to best realize your dreams. When he appears, trust the wisdom inside of yourself and go forward with your learning, feeling positive and confident. The shadow side of this, however, is that it is said that Thoth is the author and scribe of a book of magic so powerful that anyone who reads it becomes the most powerful sorcerer in the world. This wisdom comes with a curse, though, and any human who reads it is overcome by the immense knowledge and suffers a painful existence and death. Can we ever have too much information? Possibly. We can become bombarded and overloaded from so many different sources, the internet, social media, television, radio, and with different sources, opinions, and instant global connections right here and right now. True knowledge requires discernment and at times simplicity. When you search for answers in this age of information, be sure that you are discriminating regarding the sources that you trust. So that this can be describing something like the Five of Swords that we saw here, and the two people in the background that seem to be distrustful, with whom we had fallen in. It's describing that sort of thing. They go on to talk about invocations that one can make and whatnot. I'm not really into stuff like that. So, you're free to Google and see if it comes up if you want to see, the magic spell they recite in connection with this or whatever. I'm going to go on to reading the Feminine's card, Artemis and Selfhood from my Goddess Oracle by Amy Sophia Marashinsky. Selfhood. I am who am, and I know who I am. I can take care of myself under all circumstances, and I can let others care for me too. I can choose. There is no authority higher than my own. My powers of discernment are finely honed. Do you notice that it's like the same story that went with the masculine? The same description, rather. And that went with our cards. I talked about handing over one's authority with the Emperor, or taking authority over their own life, rather, instead. The same themes are playing out. I am autonomous. I am free from influence of others' opinions. I am able to separate that which needs separation so that a clear decision can be reached. I think for myself. I set my sights and aim my bow. My arrows always find their mark. Artemis, another multidimensional goddess, reduced by the Greeks to the domain of the moon, virgin, huntress, and childbirth, really represented the feminine in all her aspects. She was the huntress who protected animals, and the virgin who was whole and complete unto herself, who made love in the woods. When Artemis was a little girl, Zeus, her father, wanted to give her a gift and asked her what she wanted. Artemis replied, I want to run forever wild and free with my hounds in the woods and never, ever marry. Meaning of the card. Artemis has shot her arrow of selfhood into your life to help you to focus on yourself. Have you been too much in the service or at the service of others without making sure that you get what you need for yourself? Has it been too long since you had time to yourself or a space of your own? Do the boundaries of your selfhood seem blurred and indistinct? Do you feel that you have no right to yourself or a self of your own, but must always be thinking of others, putting their needs first until you don't know who you are or what you want? Now is the time to come into yourself. Now is the time to pay attention to the whispering voices of your own needs. Now is the time to take yourself back and to celebrate and strengthen who you are. Artemis says that wholeness is nurtured when you honor, respect, and give time to yourself. She also asks, how can you expect to hit any targets if you don't have a self from which to shoot? So that's that. This period is going to be about the truth coming out and the struggles leading up to that, and the confessions of love and sentiments of love that are shared between people after they come out. So the full story from beginning to end. I hope that you guys enjoy this reading and find it helpful, at least in that regard. Namaste, angels.